So today we are going to talk on an important topic of boundaries. What do we understand about boundaries? Can anybody tell me what do you understand by boundaries?
It is something that you realize you need instead of want, like towards other people or towards yourself. And
Too much of technical gyan, Drishti. Can we just make it simple? What is a boundary? Why do we have boundaries? In real
to
life,
protect
forget,
ourselves.
yes, we have boundaries to keep ourselves safe. Right, we put up a fencing around our safe space so that we say don't come beyond this boundary. Do we all agree about what is a boundary? Correct. And
Yes.
when we speak about a boundary, understand the boundary is not because we want to keep people outside, it's because we want to keep people inside safe. Okay. And who is inside a boundary? Us. So in a certain way, we are also limiting our experiences with a boundary. Now tell me, uh, think back, what are the emotional boundaries that we are talking about? Because today we are talking about emotional boundaries. Physical boundaries, I think we all can take care of in a certain way or the other. We can close doors on people, we can ghost them, we cannot respond to their messages. Those are boundaries that we are drawing at a physical level. Emotional boundaries are the most challenging to draw. Do we agree? Yeah. So let's understand what different areas of life do we have to look at boundaries? What are the different areas in which we have to look at boundaries?
Like in relationships.
Yes, you need boundaries in relationships because it is one person and another. And if I don't have boundaries, the choices are that I will disown or I will overcross the boundary and make somebody just too available or become too available to this person and therefore lose my own personal essence. Yes? Okay. Do you realize we also have physical boundaries for our body?
Yeah.
Do we agree that we have boundaries for our body too? The boundary for our body is keeping the body healthy. By disregarding the health needs of our boundary, we are allowing the body to grow beyond a limited limit or a boundary. So most often what we do is abuse our body by storing a lot of toxic emotions in it, and then the body cannot contain it within, and therefore the fat goes on to protect the toxicity that we are storing in the body. There was this one client I was talking about who had come to me for weight loss, and we were talking about weight loss, and I asked her, she just happened to say, I'm very angry, I'm very very angry. And I asked her, how, what is the weight of your anger? How angry are you in kilos? How much of weight is your anger? And she said, it's 25 kilos. I said, great. And now ask your body, is the weight that you're carrying consistent, or does it consist of 25 kg or of anger inside? And if you have to lose that anger, do you think you'd lose that 25 kilos that you're carrying extra in your body? And that was a huge realization for her, because she realized the weight is not because of the way she eats or because of the way she exercises or because of how she takes care. Most often, I keep telling this again and again and again, everything that happens to you is a consequence of your mindset. Everything that is your reality begins with a thought. The thought then attracts an emotion of the thought wanting to become real or the thought wanting to be avoided in reality. Then you put in energy to it, and then it becomes your physical reality because you have acted upon your energies to it. I keep saying this again and again, that this is how we create our reality. Good news is that if I have created this reality, I am in control of reversing it or changing it. Because if somebody else is the cause of my reality, I can't really force. Then I have to beg, plead, be absolutely vulnerable to that other person and wait for that other person to do you a favor. And not everybody will oblige. The good news is I am in control. The good news is I am responsible for what happens to me. Everything that happens to me because I have consciously, unconsciously been responsible for this situation. Vidushi is in a thoughtful process. Sanika, Aarti, everybody is thinking about it. And everybody is now relating to different dysfunctional areas of their life and trying to see, how am I responsible in this? Hey, Pallavi, kuch bhi bakwas karenge. We love to blame. No? Blame game is beautiful because that means I don't have to take responsibility. I don't have to act on certain things. Right? But then, do I want to live in that vulnerable state? Is the next question I want to ask. And if your answer is no, you don't want to live in that vulnerable state, then obviously the next best thing to do is to take charge. And how do we take charge? We take charge by redefining our boundaries, which have come from our conditioning. Now let's go back to the history of boundaries. Okay. When you were born, we all were born free. There were no boundaries. Absolutely no boundaries. So when and where did these boundaries start to come up? The boundaries started to come up when we first began to experience trauma. And when we begin to experience the trauma, we build up a wall saying, I don't want to experience this. However, when I want to experience the world outside this boundary, I have created a door in this boundary, which I call as the coping mechanism. And then I open the coping mechanism, I step outside, I experience the world outside this boundary, come back in, close that coping mechanism. Drishti is smiling. Vidushi is wondering. Aarti and Sanika are also wondering. If there are questions in your head, please ask because then we can direct the conversation. Otherwise, Pallavi can keep talking.
Can you explain
I didn't
what,
understand this coping mechanism.
yeah, can you explain what coping mechanism and boundary are related? Or like how,
Yes,
what is it?
everything that we have spoken in all our talks so far is absolutely related. There's not one talk that has happened right from day one till today which seems unrelated, or you can say that this is not valid here. Okay. Now let me come back. Let's talk of boundaries. So as a child, we were born free children. And when we were born free children, there was a trauma. You tried to explore something, you tried to experience something, and somebody shouted at you, somebody refused to let you experience it. What happens? You go into a victim phase. When we go into a victim phase, then we feel vulnerable and we feel uneasy because this is not what we like to feel. So automatically we shut down. In this victim phase, we shut down. However, all of us realize that we do not like to shut down. That is the young Vidushi. Hello. She's so sweet, Vidushi. And then we all shut down because of the trauma. When we shut down because of the trauma, we again start to feel claustrophobic. We start to feel limited because we've shut down. And then we start to begin to open up that door, open up that closedness, the boundary that we said we are going to shut down. And so we slowly begin to cope with a mechanism. I will do this when, I will do this if. And then there is a coping mechanism.
Explain in a situation, please.
Yes, I will. Give me a situation in which you feel limited in a boundary.
Okay, I have a boundary that I will not let people shout at me.
Okay. Now understand, when you say I will not let people shout at me, there is There is an experience which you've had where people shouted at you and it made you feel very vulnerable and small and made you feel very dismissed. So what happened is you put up this wall, I will not let people shout at me. Now, when people are not shouting at you, it also starts to cause you anxiety. Because at some level, you also realize that people who love you are the ones who shout at you. People who don't love you don't care. They don't shout, they don't scream. So when I close myself behind this boundary of I will not let people shout at me, you are also telling yourselves, I will make myself insignificant to everyone else. And that starts to cause anxiety. Or rather, you start to feel insignificant to everyone else because nobody's shouting at you. So what happens is you slowly open the door and say, you start making coping mechanisms. Your coping mechanism could be, oh, that person shouted at me because he loves me or she loves me. That person, I will allow this person, oh, that person shouted at me because he was under the influence of alcohol. Oh, that person shouted at me because they hadn't slept all these months. I mean, they haven't had a good night's sleep. Oh, that person is shouting at me because she's PMSing. So then it is their responsibility when they are shouting, but they're shouting at you. And now you have made a condition in which you are saying shouting is acceptable when. When you don't find these reasons, then you close the door and you say, no, shouting not allowed. Does that make sense, Drishti? So understand that these are boundaries that we have put, but the boundaries are not healthy boundaries. They came or we put up these boundaries because we felt vulnerable. What needs to happen is we need to shift the concept of a boundary and make them healthy boundaries. We need to make them permeable and not permanent for most of the times. Now, do you realize boundaries are of three types? They're flexible, they're permeable, and they are strong, rigid. We have three types of boundaries. Okay. A rigid boundary means no matter what happens, you are never going to cross this boundary. These are boundaries that we put with our physical limitations. Like Pallavi, no matter what, you will not jump off a cliff. Pallavi, no matter what, you will not jump in front of a train. This is a boundary because at some point I want to survive. And that's a very hard boundary. And yet we go into risk taking. We do take risks. And we take risks on a roller coaster. We do that. We do jumping up and down walls, or we do adventure activities just for the thrill of it, knowing very well I am safe. Okay. A rigid boundary could be when I'm going to say that people are not allowed to do this to me no matter what. The relationship comes to an end if this boundary is crossed. It could be in a relationship saying that I will not allow my spouse to hit me at any given point in time. If he hits me, I'm going to call it ends. No matter how nice, how generous, how great this person might be, if that person did not respect my boundary, I'm not going to allow it. And that is a absolute no compromise boundary. That's a rigid boundary. A flexible boundary is the one which I just said. I will not jump off a cliff. But when it comes to bungee jumping and adventure, I will jump off, knowing that there is security in that bungee jumping. There is a chance that the cable might break and you're going down for good. But then we are willing to take that risk for the thrill that it offers. And that is a permeable boundary. No, that's a flexible boundary. Flexible because it's not rigid. It's not like I'm never going to do this. It's like I will do it and conditions apply. And permeable boundaries are what we allow others to cross and come into my side of the boundary because the relationship is more important than me. The outcome of the situation is more important than me. And that is why we allow people to permeate our boundaries and come across to our boundaries and take charge of what is happening to us. And that is also important and significant. If I put up a wall and say, I'm not going to allow anybody to come into my house, and tomorrow I have an emergency in my house, people will have to break into my house and come and help me, right? Can I be rigid about it and say, no, you cannot come into my house and you can't touch me and you can't help me and you can't do this to me? So sometimes when there is perceived danger or survival threat, that is when I want to cross and come inside. And I allow people to permeate my boundaries and come inside. Now, does it make the concept clear of the three types of boundaries we have? Now look at our own lives, how confused and complicated we are with these boundaries. Because we don't use them in this manner. We allow people to cross and come into the boundaries because we are not cautious enough that, okay, this is going to cause trauma to me. And we allow people to keep coming back in and hurt us and go back. And then we blame people for coming in and hurting us. We've given them the power to come and hurt us. Like I said, we need to find or we need to hold these boundaries in different areas of our lives. One is being the physical area where I don't allow, where if somebody comes and says, hey, you know what, I'm going to hug you and I'm going to kiss you, you have a boundary of who's going to kiss you on the lip. You have a boundary of who's going to hold you very tightly and give you a tight hug. You don't allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry to come and hug you and kiss you because you are lovable. Even people who are in the space of spirituality, spiritual gurus, they also have their boundary of who they will hug or who they will touch or who can touch them. They don't allow everyone to come and touch them. And that is the biggest respect that you have for your own physical being. Then, of course, the boundary with the social being. Sometimes, as teenagers, I've seen this very frequently with teenagers, that they allow others to come and hug them because they want to be accepted in the community and society. And that can be very dangerous. Because as teenagers, many of us do not have our boundaries defined. Just because we want acceptance, just because we want people to be okay with us, we are allowing physical boundaries to be crossed. We are trying to fit in. We allow friends to hug us. Nini, daru peena thoda sa re, come on, let's try this. Let's come on, try this. See how we began to, how was it for us the first time? We were experimenting with life. Did we really know what it meant to experience alcohol or smoking up, if I can say that? It's because we wanted to fit in. Because you didn't know what it felt like to have the first drink. And just because people said it was fun, you chose to experiment with it. And because you experimented, maybe you didn't even like the experience the first time. But because everyone is saying that, oh, it's great, it's great to be to have alcohol, then you're trying to fit in and say, yeah, I had a great experience. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you realize that, hold on. And then you realize that probably, okay, I'm enjoying it now. It's conditioning. You conditioned yourselves to enjoy it and to feel the high. Yes, Drishti.
So, taking this alcohol example,
Mm.
I don't drink anymore. And
Okay.
then if I go to my friend's house, or even if I go to client meetings and
Mm.
they open a glass of wine or they offer you drinks, you say them no, which is
Mm.
fine. But if you
Mm.
go to your friend's house and they offer you a drink, you
Mm.
say them no, they keep forcing you,
Mm.
right? But you have a boundary and you still don't do it.
Mm.
So do you stop hanging out with those friends because they are forcing your boundary?
No, you can just tell them, you know what? Again, here empathy comes into place. You don't need to necessarily draw very strong boundaries. What can happen is you can say that, hey, you know what? I value our friendship. However, this part of the friendship where you are pushing me to have alcohol will actually push me away from you because you're crossing my boundary. And if I feel like having a drink, I will ask you to make me one. But do not push me to do something I'm not okay with, because I value the relationship. And if you think that if I'm not drinking and that doesn't keep me a friend with you anymore, well, I respect that about you and I will stop hanging out with you. Now it's a choice. The ball is in their court. They have to choose whether they value Drishti as a friend or whether they want a partner who's just going to be bund enough like them and just do nonsensical things. And do you want to be that person they want you to be? Conditions apply for you to hang out in that group. If there are conditions that are applied to your value system, and if you cross those, then it speaks about your self-esteem. Girl. Only if my self-esteem is low will I want people to want me in their group with conditions, right? It does. If the relationship is more valued than you drinking with them, that itself is respect. No, that's a boundary that they respect, and you respect their boundary to drink. Yeah. So that is one boundary, which is a social boundary. Okay. Another boundary which most of us cross is our emotional boundary. We cross our emotional boundary because of voids that we experience, because of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I am helpless, I cannot live without this person, or this person is a must in my life, so I will go out there and make myself too available to this person, and so on and so forth. And these are the most challenging because we are social people, we are herd animal, and not adhering to people's conditions to how we are going to be accepted by them, we end up following rules they define for us. And often we also define rules. The big drama that I do with my children. 9 mahine कोख में रखा. You are bound till the last breath to take care of me. You have no regret. काही प्रेमच नहीं है. प्यार ही नहीं करते आप मुझे. No value for everything that I have done. So much drama. Mothers are very drama queens. We all love to do this drama. Conditions apply, conditions apply. Look at all the conditions we are giving our children. Are they for their benefit or are they for my convenience? Often, and I'm saying children because it's right there. I'm sure most of us are children to somebody or are mothers to somebody. So when we are talking of this, look at all the dramas our mothers gave us and look at all the drama we are giving our children. And the idea of this boundary or the idea of this concept of what is rightfully mine, can it be redefined and save the relationship rather than put conditions to the relationship and choke it completely? Another area where we struggle with boundaries is our career. We are not able to draw boundaries in our career. Because often we feel that if I put up this boundary, I will be thrown out because I'm very easily replaceable. We have this fear of losing what we have. And therefore, you realize many people today in many industries are jack of all trades and masters of none.
The whole thing is jack of all trades, master of none is still better than master of one.
It is a thought, girl. If I'm a master of one, then I have mastered that one thing so much that nobody can come anywhere close to me. And whenever that trait is needed, I am the only option people have. You become very exclusive because you've practiced it, and mastered it. When you say jack of all trades, you do a little bit of everything. When we do a little bit of everything, we are growing horizontally. When we do one thing in depth, we grow vertically. We grow like this. And growth in some form or the other is always good. I'm not saying jack of all trades is wrong. I'm not saying master of one is right. I'm just saying that when I'm doing this, am I growing like this? Or am I just expanding myself without the awareness? And then when we expand ourselves without the awareness, we feel, अरे यार कितना सारा मैं कर रही हूँ, but nobody values me only. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. And that's very good because then you can tell people who are significant to us, मैं इतना कुछ कर रही हूँ, you're not doing anything at all. Often it is a hook to blame someone when we do too many things. We also want to prove to our employers or people who are going to bring the money in that, look, I can do this and I can do this. Don't replace me. I can do this. Don't replace me. I can do this. Don't replace me. And if you cannot provide the depth that an organization or a certain career path requires, then how are you going to grow? It's okay, Sanika, we understand. She's going to keep her video off because she has a network issue. So understand that how will we grow, how will we mature in an experience if I'm not going to be master of some, if not all. You can be jack of many trades and a master of some. Unlike the belief, jack of all trades, when I'm saying I'm a jack of all trades, that means I have to do everything everyone else is doing. I am an exceptionally good cook. But can I just hand over that responsibility to a person who can cook for me and make myself more available to the wellness industry or to the wellness game that I am bringing to the market? Can I just outsource my housekeeping to someone else and make myself available to something that will help me to grow? If I keep saying I'm going to do my cooking, I'm going to do my housekeeping, I'm going to do caregiving, I'm going to take care of my pets, I'm going to be an ideal wife, I'm going to be an ideal mother, then where is the Pallavi who wants to be that mindset coach? And what is my mindset about all of this? The mindset is of insecurity. And if I'm functioning, if I'm going to sow the seed of insecurity, can I ever look for security in the seed of insecurity? Yes, Drishti, your question.
But sometimes you don't have a choice. Like
Give
you
me
don't
an,
have.
you always have a choice, Drishti. Give me an example when you don't have a choice.
I live in the
Bangalore
US.
too.
I can't afford a cook. I can't afford somebody to clean my house. I have to do it all myself.
Hmm.
And I still have to do my work and I still have to do all the other things and I have to be a good daughter because nobody else can call my parents. I have to be a good employer because nobody else can go to work. I have to be a good roommate because nobody else is going to go
Okay,
do the
stop,
dishes.
stop. You know what I'm hearing you say? I have to, I don't want to.
But I'm saying, like, I'm giving an example. Like,
No,
sometimes
no.
you
Listen to
don't
what
have a
you're saying.
choice.
No, you do. You always do have a choice. The choice is that, okay, today I don't want to cook. Can I just make a sandwich for myself? Just,
But that's still cooking.
if you want to consider, depends on how are you going to define that cooking. Are you going to make yourselves time enough and money enough to invest in your career so that you can afford a cook? Or are you going to say, oh, I'm not going to afford a cook, but I'm going to cook pasta for myself. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to get my house key. Okay, 3 days you don't clean your house. How does it matter? I'm saying that to you, Drishti, because I know you live in the US and it's not as dusty as it is in Mumbai. In Mumbai, I cannot say I can't have the house clean. But on days when
Pallavi,
my 1 minute, Vidushi. On the day my maid doesn't come, am I really taking the broom and I'm sweeping it?
No.
Then I'm just doing upar wala kaam, no? Isn't that convenient? But when the maid is there, I want it all spick and span. Then why is it that I'm not doing these things when the maid is not there? Because it's convenient to me. It's convenience. Think about it. Yes, Vidushi, you were saying something and I interrupted.
I'm kind of in the space of what Drishti is trying to say, because she's trying to
Hmm.
say, I don't know, prove me wrong, Drishti, because I kind of feel you. Because
Hmm.
look, I'm a mother, I work, I have a family, I have to call my parents. I'm in a similar situation. But there are days, like suppose you've had an argument at night with your husband about something, you sleep with that argument, it's a big argument, and the next day that you have planned will obviously not go as planned, because there's something that's bothering you inside. You don't want to address it at that point of time. You leave it for another time, because maybe the topic is something that needs a little bit of processing and brooding. So
Okay,
sometimes
stop,
you've got to
stop.
do.
I got you, Vidushi. Just a minute. I hear Vidushi say that something happened between me and my husband the previous night. And I'm not going to keep it outside of me. I'm going to carry it in my heart damn very well because I want him to know how he made me feel. I'm going to carry that bitterness, the anger, the frustration, and it's going to stay with me till I'm going to get even with him. And the price I'm going to
No,
pay for it, okay, till I get him to become aware of how he hurt me or
no. Husband
okay.
wife के बीच में तो ये होता ही नहीं है, because you eventually have to live together ना. You resolve it at some point of time. So
हाँ,
it's
so वो
nothing.
रेजोल्यूशन होने तक तो आप कैरी कर रहे हो ना उसको.
कर रहे हैं, but
हाँ,
I
so
mean, this
that
is not my thing. Maybe it's on the phone. Maybe he's not
हाँ,
even around. He
I'm
can't
not
even
talking.
see what I'm feeling or
See,
how I'm behaving.
look, I understand this is not for your husband. Now, if Tushar has to say something to me and he says, that's all he did. And he walked away, I walked away. It's the meaning of what he did, said, that is going to affect me.
Pallavi, that meaning is affected. Yeah, something you both said to each other
Hmm.
is in your heart. You have decided not to sort it out that time because you have a day ahead. That's what Drishti is trying to say. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. अब मेरा दिल तो नहीं था काम पे जाने का और बच्चों को
Correct.
स्कूल भेजने का और वो सब चीजें करने का. I
So,
wanted to sit with myself for some time. Maybe cry that pain out, because maybe I can't
def
solve it. Maybe
what
it's
stops you
beyond me.
from doing that?
टाइम ही नहीं है रोने का ना.
नहीं, गलत है.
Responsibility,
Okay, stop. Who gave you the responsibility?
These are
myself.
my responsibilities
You've
towards
taken
myself.
them, you've taken those responsibilities because you'll feel like a good mother, you'll feel like a good wife, you'll feel like a good this thing. Those are the feel good factors. Can you just
No,
say
you
that
gotta do, Pallavi, you gotta do it. How can you not send your kids to school because
your
you are
children,
hurting?
hold on, your children can
How
stay
can you not
one.
show up to a shoot because you're hurting?
Okay,
Oh, today I'm not coming to work,
hold on.
I'm hurting.
No, no,
You
I'm
can't
not
do
saying,
that.
no, I'm not saying that, Vidushi. Sorry if I come across like that. What I'm trying to say is that can I put that pain outside of me and say, okay, I'm going to deal with this pain when I have the time, and you put it in a container outside of you, do whatever you want to do or you have to do. So attend, be the mother you want to be the wife you want to be the in-law that you want to be the person, be the work person that you want to be, and then excuse yourselves and say, give me 1 hour, I need to sort this thing out for myself and come back. If you are saying, I sleep with that pain, that itself is a very toxic thing to do. You need to clear out your emotions. The last video that I spoke about, the previous last week's video, if you have been through it, I said emotional tracker and clearing Hoponopono for every toxic emotion
Correct.
you felt. Now, if you've done Hoponopono for that last emotion, the next day morning is a fresh start. You're not carrying that baggage with you. You're going to do everything you have to do minus the negative emotion. So why not hoponopono it? Why not release that emotion? Why not take away that toxicity? The toxicity happened between two people because of the interaction of the two people. You don't know how the other person is feeling, coping.
It's
It's
not my
not
lookout.
correct. But who's hurting?
Me.
You. That person said or did something in this situation for this moment. You are choosing to carry it forward until the next day morning. Who is at fault?
Me. Okay, I
Who
take
should
100%.
take You take responsibility, girl,
But
for your.
Pallavi, what Drishti and I are trying to tell you that sometimes you
Hmm.
are processing something. वो नहीं
Hmm.
होता. You're
Okay.
making it very mathematical, but emotions are
No,
not.
I'm
कई
not
बार
saying.
sometimes एक दो
Agree.
दिन लग जाते हैं उसको process करने में, but you gotta show
Definitely.
up. Even if you
Definitely,
don't want
Drishti.
to, you have to show up.
I
Now, I
agree.
can't tell my mom and
Hmm.
throw that last night ka gussa on her.
No, you
This
don't.
needs a lot of alignment which some people don't get and don't have that ability. So sometimes you gotta show up. I mean,
Correct. I'm not saying you don't.
you know how you come to work and you say, oh, this guy is really having a bad day today, let's be gentle on him, because people pick up
Definitely.
the energy. So
Definitely.
sometimes
Definitely.
maybe I'm having a bad day and somebody has picked it up and somebody has not picked it up, so वो थोड़ा jumble हो जाता है. But I understand boundary is important, but sometimes नहीं होता वो. It's like we're
Of
not
course.
robos.
No, we are not. We are definitely not robots. But is it okay for me to tell my children, hey, you know what? I'm having a bad day today. And it's not about you, bachas. It's about you. It's about me. So is it okay that today you dress up yourselves and go to school on time? Maybe the children will
Nice.
go
Okay.
and maybe the children will not go. One of the two
Communicate.
things. When you are telling the child, look, I am hurting, and I may just say things that are not right for me to say in this moment. Is it okay for you all to just dress up and go and let mama process what she's doing? That is one way to say it. And then sit with yourselves and deal with it. At workplace, can you just excuse yourselves and say, hey, you know what? I'm dealing with something. Can I come an hour late to work? And I want to be present. If your boss says no, and if coming to work on time is important, you just sit for 10 minutes when you're driving through. If you're driving to work, then just take a seat back in your transport. Just say, okay, I understand this toxic part of me. Can I please put it in the container for now? Go to office, finish my work, and come back home. And when I come back home, I'm going to look at that part of me and clear it out.
How do you do this? Put it outside. You said it 4 times. How do you take that pain and put it outside?
Vidushi, we've done this in a concept called container. You remember the container? With Drishti, do you remember the concept of a container? We've
I
done
mean,
that.
I do, but I think how is like what you're saying is verbalizing what are
Exactly.
you
It's a lot of
feeling.
alignment. It's a lot of alignment.
That
Like
is
This
what
only come with
wellness.
that.
you were saying that you need to verbalize what you're feeling and communicate it to
Hmm.
someone else or something outside of you
Mm-hmm.
when you're feeling a certain way, so you can take responsibility of your environment
Pain.
and your
Yes.
feelings and pain,
Hmm.
which sometimes I do not want to verbalize to my
Hmm.
boss that I
Hmm.
am going through something and I need 10 minutes.
Hmm.
Because in the culture that I am in,
Hmm.
it will reflect back on it that she has. And what if I'm such an emotional being that every single day something is
Are
bothering
you
me?
overthinking the outcome? Are you overthinking what your boss is going to think of you?
Yes, of course, because it is my bread and butter. And if
It
that
is. It
stops,
is. So
I
then you
will
are.
like
Hold
feelings
on. Hold on. Hold on.
processing will
Hold
not
on. Hold
work on
on.
me.
Hold on. What I'm hearing Drishti say is, I work for an insensitive boss.
Yes, if you're sensitive every single day and something or the other is happening
The
every
point
single
is,
day,
if no, no, hold. If you are a person who is sensitive every single day, that means you have a lot of work to do on yourself.
yes,
Definitely.
so your life doesn't stop when you're working
No,
on yourself.
my life works. You only talk about your life.
Yes, so my life does not stop because I am working on myself. It's a path
Correct.
that goes parallel. And
Correct.
I cannot, and I choose not to verbalize it every single time I'm in a situation that I don't want to deal with,
Okay, stop.
right?
Stop. Can you just say this to yourself, Drishti, that I am insensitive to myself? Is it okay to say that?
No, because I'm not.
You are.
How how are you saying that? Okay, I don't want to say my boss today, oh, I'm feeling sad because I didn't sleep well.
Right now, you are insensitive because you're not even acknowledging your feelings. You're in the head. You're not in your body. You're not in your emotions. Right now, this argument or this discussion that you and I are having is from your head. You're not
No,
in the
I
body.
understand that. I'm just trying to understand
So
the
that is
fact.
why I am saying you are insensitive. Can you say this to yourselves that Drishti,
Okay, I
I
am
am insensitive.
insensitive to
Say it.
myself.
Say it. Drishti, I am insensitive to me. I
I
am
am
insensitive.
insensitive to me. I am
Keep
insensitive to me.
say it with the feeling of insensitivity.
But I'm not. Like, I
You
don't
are.
feel it.
Because you have closed that sensitive part up and you're saying, no, I'm insensitive. I cannot be sensitive. I'm insensitive. I cannot be insensitive. I cannot be sensitive. I am insensitive. Who says that a sensitive drishti cannot work efficiently?
Because she needs a moment or two every single day.
Yes. And don't you think that we are allowed to take that moment or two just with our breaths? And that is something we are doing every single minute in and out.
But I think I'm speaking of a general idea.
There is no general, girl. Everything is so specific.
Okay,
I'm not
like
saying, I'm not saying,
specifically.
I'm not saying tell your boss, but when you're going to work, can you just contain that sensitive part of you in the container and say, hey, you know what, I'm hurting, but I need to go to office. Can I just put this sensitive part and say, Drishti, I recognize this sensitivity, the pain you're feeling. I'm going to keep you at home and I'm going to take a responsible Drishti to work. And these are different traits that we take. You don't take a small baby to a rave party. You keep that baby home. The idea that I'm trying to say is, Drishti, we have different traits that we need to take to work. Taking a sensitive Drishti to work is not necessary. That sensitive Drishti can stay home and the responsible and the sensible Drishti can go to work.
But this is very compartmentalizing. Like, it's very like,
Yes, you can. And you can compartmentalize because at every given point in time, you don't take every part of you everywhere. You only, we all have this habit of holding on to the hurting parts of us or the dysfunctional parts of us. We keep holding on to the dysfunctional parts of us and we hold them so much because we feel, अरे टेढ़ा है, दुखेगा तो, दर्द होगा तो. Look at us as mothers also, Vidushi,
No, I want to
Aarti.
understand this. Why are we? What are the dysfunctional parts we hold on to?
The pain that we feel, the toxicity that I feel in some situation, I want to carry it with me in the fear that it will be hurt more. And we are carrying it to a toxic environment of the boss or of my workplace where
No, I
people.
don't. I used to do all this. This drama ended after you came into my life. I process it.
So
हाँ,
then,
कई बार it takes time. I
correct.
I I feel दृष्टि because I have done it. I feel it. Sometimes मेरा वो गुस्सा गलत जगह निकल जाता है. Sometimes बच्चों पे ही निकल जाता है. To be honest, but I'm not like this anymore. I deal. I talk. I am currently in a situation where I'm deeply hurting, but I'm talking about it. I'm doing hoponopo. I think 2 दिन में ठीक हो जाएगा. To be honest.
The idea is that we do hurt, but we don't need to take the hurt part of us outside into the external environment because it's already hurting and it is susceptible to hurt more.
Yeah, I'm working on
I
this
have a
switch off, switch
question.
on part. I need to work on this.
Yes. Okay.
I have a
Drishti.
question connecting back to what you said
Hmm.
in the starting, that
Hmm.
subconsciously or consciously, we choose what is happening to us in
Hmm.
our reality. So if
Unconsciously,
somebody,
we unconsciously choose what's happening to us.
yeah, so if somebody is hurting us,
Hmm.
my boss is hurting me by being insensitive, or I
No,
am hurting myself,
hold. Instead of saying my boss is hurting me, my perception of my boss's actions are hurting me.
my perception of my boss's action are hurting me because
Hmm.
I feel he's being insensitive.
Hmm.
So this is something that I've created in my reality,
Correct.
right? Through my
Hmm.
subconscious and through
Hmm.
my boundaries and
It's
through
through
my
it's through
dysfunctional.
your unconscious conditioning. It's conditioning that says my boss is insensitive when he does A, B, C, D, E. And those
And
are
then
not.
ag-
Hmm.
and then again, my boundary is like, okay, he's your boss,
Hmm.
he's your bread and butter, so we will allow this to happen,
Hmm.
right? This
Hmm.
is this is what's
This
happening.
is what you do.
Yeah, this is
Again,
what I do.
in your head, what is the role of a boss? You have already put the boss on a pedestal. Is it a relationship of equals or is it a relationship of superior and inferior?
Of course, it is a relationship with superior and inferior.
No. My boss is equally inferior because he needs me to do his work. Can we respect that boundary and say, okay, you need me, and because I'm going to do a certain amount of work for you, and I need you because you're going to pay me for it. So it's a relationship of equal give and take. It's not a relationship of being superior. He's not doing you a favor. You are working for him, you are delivering what he wants, and he's going to pay you for it.
I understand. And again, listen to my question.
Okay.
My question is, if I have created that hurt because according to my subconscious and my thoughts, can I uncreate it? Can I create another thought that is not in my reality? Like, can I create thoughts like, oh, my boss is so understanding of me, my boss is so sensitive of me? Can I change my mindset to that
Yes.
so it doesn't happen?
Yes. So, like I said, you only have to change the way you communicate to yourselves about the situation. Instead of saying my boss is insensitive, you can turn around and say, I don't perceive the sensitivity of my boss in this moment. That does not mean your boss is not sensitive. It just means I am not seeing his sensitivity right now. Does that make sense? It's
Elaborate.
too much work. It is too much work.
Yeah, so it is too much work. Like, we cannot just say that we have a thought and it, like, I don't know, like it's hard to like compartmentalize the way you're saying
It
it.
is difficult, Drishti. I have never said that healing was going to be easy. If
Hmm.
it was so easy, everyone would have been healed. And we run away from healing because we've practiced the toxicity, we've practiced the unhealed part of us so much that it is the known. And because it is the known, we are afraid to go to the unknown, which is a healed part of me. I don't know what it felt like or feels like to be healed. And then I run back. When I come to a healed part of me, then I see that, oh, this is the unknown. I don't know what to do with this healed part now. I don't know what to do with this healed part. So then we go back to the unhealed part of us. Because we know exactly how to deal with the unhealed part. I can give charge. I can tell Tushar, oh, you know what? You make me miserable. And make him feel guilty about it. That he will think throughout the day, oh, my wife is so miserable. I need to do something to make her feel happy. And he will put all the efforts to make me feel happy. And I'm choosing to be miserable. And then the guilt keeps playing on and on and on and on for him, because then he's saying, Arey yaar, what a horrible person. I can't even make my wife happy. I don't have the brains. I don't have ideas to make her happy. How much of guilt I rubbed. I am so happy being unhappy. I have chosen my happiness in unhappiness. And I have made him guilty, and I have taken away, I have robbed him of his happiness. The point being, Drishti, if your boss is insensitive, why do you take a vulnerable part of you in front of him?
No, I understand. I don't even have a boss right now, so I understand.
I'm just telling you this, that
Yeah.
often we choose to take because we want to be rescued. So if I'm taking a vulnerable part of me to work, which is not supposed to be, who is vulnerable? A child. A child is vulnerable. It's an inner child who's hurting. Do you take a child to work?
No.
You leave it home. So leave your inner children at home and go to work as an adult. The point is, most of us don't even know how to be the adult. We don't know how to be the adult.
Yeah, you
If I,
haven't taught us yet.
okay, lovely. So now you're giving it to me as a responsibility, not mine.
Yes.
We're going to have a talk on inner children, though.
Okay.
Love that. Love that. Love that.
We are going to have a talk on inner children.
Pallavi, can I ask you a personal question? I just want to know for
Yes.
my own understanding, just for
Yes.
fuck's sake.
Huh.
Do you also sometimes get your inner child and adult, and do you also play that, or just us because we've had such traumatic
Yeah, she
outbursts?
plays that all the
I,
time.
I don't claim to be God.
You have those moments?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Please ask Tushar. Please ask my pets. Please ask my children how many times I can throw a tantrum. But then often I'm throwing that tantrum by choice.
मतलब you're in awareness of it कि मेरा अभी बच्चा play out हो रहा है, adult में बाद में
Definitely.
दिखाऊंगी.
Huh. Huh.
Okay,
And
fine.
I'm doing that. See, when I'm throwing the child out there, I might not be aware that I'm acting out of a child state. But the minute I begin to hurt, the minute I begin to feel not in charge, I ask myself, where is this bacha? How old is this bacha? And then I take charge of the child. And then I continue the drama by being in charge of the child. And then whenever
Very nice.
I can choose to withdraw from the drama. Of course, I'm not saying I'm so aware that I don't get hooked into the drama. I do get hooked into the drama, but I am aware of it faster and I know when to unhook myself and let the drama unfold in my environment. Then I'm sitting and watching. Arey, khilte raho, khilte raho. Because the others are also hooked in the drama, no? Somebody is a rescuer, somebody is a persecutor, somebody is now playing a victim. And I have withdrawn, I'm watching the drama. मैं नाटक देख रही हूँ, सामने पर्दे पे मेरे नाटक चल रहा है. जहाँ पे हस्बैंड, मेरे बच्चे, मेरे कुत्ते, मेरी मेड, मेरी मासी, everybody is in that drama except me. And I am that Narad Muni who keeps triggering the drama also. Oh, how did Maushi say this to you, Tushar? Oh my God, I would not have tolerated. Tushar is instigated. Then Tushar goes and tells Maushi, I didn't expect this of you, Maushi. Then Maushi feels the victim. And she says, Arey, but me kai kela? What did I do to you? It's okay. So she says, what did I do to you? And now she makes him the persecutor. And the drama continues.
I got it. I
Nice.
got it.
I
But
have
tell
one
me,
question.
but Drishti, one
Hold
minute,
on.
my small question. But it's okay to be children for a while. Na? I become children very often. That's allowed, right?
See, it's absolutely
I
important that
kind of
we
like that space more.
keep the child alive because it keeps you alive. If you start being an adult, it's boring. You have
Yeah,
to,
I
you
really
have
want to
to be
hear
the,
this.
you have to
The
be the
adult
child.
part of me drains me, so the child part of me keeps me alive.
Okay, stop. So that means you are very childlike and you have to become the adult which you are not. The minute you become the adult, then it's not taxing and toxic. If you have to wear a mask of an adult, then it is draining. If you don't have to put a mask of an adult and you can, you know what I perceive is that Drishti, uh,
Vidushi.
Vidushi enjoys the drama because she can throw a tantrum. She loves to throw a tantrum. She likes the attention. She likes everyone being there around her and giving her all that attention. Now, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. But that Vidushi, when she has to go to work, she feels, nahi yaar, kahan homework karne bol diya. It's homework.
Yeah, it's a task for me to be an adult.
Correct. And that is because you have to wear a mask of being an adult. Is it okay to tell the child it's fun, but now it's time for the adult to go and take charge?
Yeah, I need to do these sessions with you starting Jan.
Great. Yes, Drishti, your question.
The way you explain to compartmentalize, like
Mm.
you put your if as people, as humans,
Mm.
me or I can put my past self in a box. Be like, okay, there's a
No,
hurt
don't
inner
put your
child.
past self. Put the experience in the box and keep the vulnerability outside. Keep that child in outside only. The child is a happy child, is a fun-loving child. It's the emotion
Inside you
that you
will.
want to lock it up. It's the emotion and the experience you want to lock up.
Acha, so if there's a child inside me in the past that has experienced certain thing, you put it in a box.
You put the emotions and the experience in the box, the child in the safe space.
And then
You go out as an adult.
but do you at some point need to address it, or do you just like
When
tata
you
bye
come
bye?
back, no, you come back from work and then you spend that time with the child, no girl. It's a hurting
But
child.
can
Rota
it
hua
not be
chhod.
possible that you put your past self in a box and be done with it, and then you create your
No,
thoughts and
no. It'll keep coming
no.
back to you. It will always come back. And it'll come back
Okay.
stronger.
Okay, because it's suppressing, it's not addressing.
You're not, suppression will always, you put no a ball in the water and push it down and push it. How long can you hold it? Your arm will begin to hurt. And then you'll
Okay.
start to have dis-ease in the body. What is disease? Dis-ease in the body. When energy is not moving free flow, it causes disease. Dis-ease is disease of the body. And then if you don't address it, you will start to have migraines, you'll start to have back pains, you'll start to have body aches and body pains because you've stored that trauma in that part of the body.
So why don't we go to energy healers and go to therapists? Because most of the
Energy
pain,
healing. Energy healing is temporary because your toxic patterns and behaviors have not resolved themselves. You'll take care of massages, make you feel good temporarily. After some time, you bring back the pains and aches.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
massages make you feel very good, no? They
Yeah.
also release trauma. When you do deep tissue, it also releases trauma. But then the trauma comes back because the seed of the trauma still is in your body, in your mind.
Okay.
That needs to heal.
Okay. Just clarifying things.
I know. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you're doing that. Great. Aarti, any questions from your end?
I would say that no, with my own experience, because I'm a mother, I am a wife, I have to clean my house. Like I have many responsibilities because I don't have anyone to look at my children.
Correct.
So I'm taking the way like some I share the responsibilities in my house. So going to school or college with my kids is their own responsibility. If they did not wake up at that time and if they could not ride the bus that time, they know I'm not going to drop them off.
Correct.
So
Going to school has to be their responsibility. Putting them in school is not your comfort. कि अरे यार स्कूल जाओ तो 4 घंटे मेरे को सुकून से बैठने को मिले.
yeah,
So as long as sending children to school is your need, then it's challenging. As long as it's their need to go to school, they will do it.
yeah, because like they knows in my family, they knows 7 to 8 is my own time for my yoga and meditation. So even if anyone calls me, even if they need me, I don't respond them, and
That's a
I
very
will just
strong boundary you hold, and which is good
yes, I
because
do, because otherwise it's hard for me to like no take time for myself. So
true,
they
true.
knows that sometimes, oh, your yoga time, I will feed you later. You can just go and get your own food.
Definitely.
And like I had bad days at home sometimes, but when I go to my work, I'm totally a different person. Like I don't relate, I don't mixed up those both things. Like when I'm home, I'm home. When I'm at work, I'm at work. And that's how we are at in school. So I work at school district. So we just share the responsibility, and I let my boss know sometimes, oh, I have to go to India right now for 10 days, no matter what. Whatever is the work, I might do it later or I will take the responsibility. And sometimes he agrees, sometimes not. And some days, if he is not agree, then it's fine, it's okay. So you can just make the priorities, and it's okay if you did not finish that particular work in the same day. You have one more
Often,
extra day.
true,
That's
no,
how I
and
take every
often
day.
that's really amazing and nice, Aarti, because often we punish ourselves for not being good mothers, good daughters, good sisters, good wives. We punish ourselves for those things. I always believe that if I'm not a centered Pallavi today, I won't be a good wife. I won't be a good pet parent. I won't be a good uh, niece, or I won't be a good daughter. I might just do things which are duty bound. And can I establish the communication between me and the other person saying, hey, you know what? If I don't call you on a certain day, I'll call you back in another day or two. Believe me, relationships which are so dependent on you being connected to them every single day are toxic.
Yeah.
You don't need to be there. There are relationships have to be so free that you are not accessible to people for months. And when you come back, you connect back the way you would have connected, and the relationship never ended. The relationship should never end. It should just be a fun thing that you connect back, and you start from where you left.
Yeah, like with cleaning the house, my kids knows that I'm not going to clean their room in 2 weeks. So if I clean their room, which is not my responsibility, but even I cleaned up their room, and if they messed up like the next day, I don't clean the room until like after 2 weeks.
Correct.
So
No, and
whatever is the mess, it's the mess, and
it will stay. It will
Yeah,
stay. We
it will.
are worried, Vidushi, we are worried because, and
Yeah,
that's right, because Aarti, if she were in India, she would be a different mother. Because she's in the US, she's a different person. And, Vidushi, often it is our socio-cultural need that the woman of the house is responsible for everything that happens in the environment. Well, no, not really.
No, I agree with you. My mother goes through this, and
Mm.
I don't. Raj is quite a equal parent with me. But yes, when my husband travels, which he travels for 2 months, then it takes a toll on me. And then I start losing it. But that's where I felt with Drishti, because sometimes काम भी होता है, घर भी होता है, घर के ड्रामे भी होते हैं, and आपकी body अंदर से थक चुकी है. But you
पर
can't get a
घर का
proxy
काम
father.
मत कर, नहीं, पर घर का काम मत करो ना इतना 24 घंटे. Or have
yep,
a
you don't.
nanny for your
बहुत
children,
कुछ
if
होता
that
है.
is, have a,
No, it's easier said than done. You know, these nannies also are humans. They have moods. You can't have them
that,
7 days a day working the way we want them to work. Sometimes you need to empathize with them. मैं कितनी बार इनको बोलती हूँ, आप मुझ पे छोड़ दो, जाओ, घूम के आओ. Because it's taking a toll on them. It's the same boring shit they're doing every day. And not that our kids are easy. These kids are crazy.
okay, stop. That's again a belief you're having about your own children.
Okay, but it's, it's like everybody, it's a lot of human dynamics.
Of
It's
course
like
they
running
are.
an organization.
But Vidushi, don't we all love drama?
Yeah, but
We do, Drishti, we do. It taxes us when we are the victims of the drama, but when we are the creators of the drama and when we are a active part of the drama, it's fun.
Well, thanks to Pallavi, I found that space where I love my alone time. So मैं तो jazz out हो जाती हूँ. मैं इनको lock करती हूँ, सुलाती हूँ और भाग जाती हूँ. 1-2 घंटे के लिए I feel good. Come back, I feel quite better for the next day.
You do.
That's what I
You
do when Raj is not around. I mean, when he's
Definitely.
traveling.
You need your time out also. When you are dealing with so many things, you definitely need your time out. Drishti,
That
go.
adulting needs the break in me. That adulting.
Exactly.
I don't relate to any of this. I have no kids, no husband, no relationship responsibility.
Your biggest kid is inside of you, who
That's
throws
true.
tantrum every single
That's
time.
true.
And
That's
you
true.
need to pamper her by giving her foot massages, by sitting with her, by pampering her, by giving her all the attention she deserves. Then she's going to throw less tantrums at you.
I'm trying,
See,
buddy. I'm
see, my
trying.
my college student, he's cleaning up, vacuuming his room at 11:30 right now.
Oh,
No,
see,
that's what exactly my roommate is doing, and it's like 1 a.m. right now here.
I can imagine that these are perks of being. And this is, instead of complaining, can we just enjoy this moment and say, okay, if it's not in my control, then it's meant to be, and let me be okay with it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, guys, 11 o'clock, time to say goodbye.
But it was
Have a
really
lovely...
nice. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
thank
Every
you
Thank
time
you.
it's
so much.
nice.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Vidushi. Thank you
Bye.
so much,
Thank you,
and
Pallavi.
see you all
Bye.
again. And refine your boundaries all over again. Every time there is pain, revisit your boundaries and refine them.
And also, it's okay to, जब किसी ने कुछ किया है, suppose a friend, okay, it's okay to, without lashing out, explain to her, even if she doesn't want to listen, even if she has a boundary where
No,
she
don't.
doesn't want to listen.
What is the point of telling someone something when they're not open to listening? You can just say, this makes me feel incomplete, and I would like to finish this conversation whenever you're ready for it, and leave it.
After joining Pallavi's session each Sunday, my thinking is it's not my responsibility to make everyone happy.
Perfect.
Got
I
it?
take responsibility only for my happiness, not anybody
Yes.
else's.
This is what you made a change in me in like
Thank
last
you.
3.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you so
Yep.
much for everybody who's been there and making me feel worthwhile. Thank you so much, Drishti, Vidushi, Sanika, Aarti, and of
Thank
course,
you. You're
Tushar.
Thank
amazing.
Thanks.
you for
Thank
you.
you.
your
Bye-bye.
Thank
time.
you.
Bye, Tushar.
Have a beautiful year.